Welcome to chapter 2. We're going to be talking about the crime picture, theories and trends. So, as we go through this chapter, we're going to start to look at the theories of why people commit crimes and some of the different models that research has given us. I want you always to remember when we're talking about theories are much different than opinions. So there will be theories that you will say, no way is that true. But you have to remember that theories are put in place to be proven or disproven, and we can all have various opinions on those theories. So I'm not going to go through the learning objectives. One thing I do want to tell you guys with this chapter is this is a lot of just information and not as much of critical thinking. So I'm going to go through this lecture fairly fast because it's really going to be about just taking notes and reading and rereading what these different theories are. So when we talk about a theory, we're talking about the study of criminology. And when we talk about criminology, that is a scientific study, because remember, we always have ology at the end: biology, anthropology, sociology. So we are looking at a scientific study of crime and the causes of criminal behavior. There are many different explanations for why people commit crime. But the criminologists who are studying these causations warn us against using models or profiles to predict violent behavior. So we don't want to predict people's behavior with these theories. So when we talk about a correlation, we're talking about a relationship between two measurements or behaviors that move us into the same direction, Correlation. Now, we're talking about causation. We're looking more at one thing affecting another, being the cause of another thing. So causation is the contrast. In contrast is the relationship in which a change in one measurement or behavior creates another measurement or behavior. And I would suffice to say that there is many different causes of crime, but we can definitely see there are some causation factors that come into criminal behavior. So when we talk about theories, we're really going back to the scientific method. And this is why I don't like to take too much time with this, because it's kind of boring. No, it's really important though, but I want you guys to know that reading and studying this is where you're going to get this information. So we know that a theory is some sort of explanation of a certain thing that's happening, right? So we want to talk about knowing what the differences between a hypothesis and a theory are when we're talking about the study of criminology. So a theory is an explanation of a happening or circumstance that's based on observation. What's different with the hypothesis, is this is a possible explanation for an observed occurrence, and it can be tested with some more investigation. So when we're talking about the chronological theories, we're really using those to determine reasons for criminal behavior. So when we look at these, we are looking at research and studies and different types of things. So two criminologists from Arizona State University, Larson and Sweeten, Matthew Larson, Gary Sweeten, wanted to test their hypothesis that young people involved in romantic breakups were at high risk for destructive behavior. And what they found is that breakups do indeed correlate to higher rates of criminal offending and substance abuse among young men, and higher rates of substance abuse among young women. So we're looking at rational choice theory first. So these are going to be the theories that are most widely accepted. And we're talking about the brain and the body and the decision making. Rational choice theory is the first that I want you guys to know about. And what rational choice theory says is that it's it's a process of weighing out what is better, what is the outcome, what is the benefits of this criminal or delinquent behavior, as opposed to what are the costs. So if the perceived benefits are greater than the costs, the person's more likely to commit crime. If someone knows that the community is not going to put them in jail or hold them accountable for drug crimes, whatever the case is, they might be able to weigh it out and say it's worth taking that risk. So when we're talking about trait theories, which is another important theory that is used in criminology, trait theories suggest that certain biological or psychological traits put people into a box where they're going to incline toward criminal behavior with a certain set of circumstances. So they have these traits, and these traits can in turn then lead to more chances of committing crime. Remember theories, guys. Theories. So when we talk about the term biology, that's pretty broad, but we're looking at the study of living organisms. And when we're looking at psychology, that's going to be more pertaining to the mind and the processes in the mind. So those can be used both in the trait theories. So we know that genetics help us determine some criminality. Whether that is sociological, biological, whatever the case is, we know that genetics play a part. Neurocriminology. This is a certain area, and it's a study that focuses on the genetics and how that affects criminality. So we know that hormones can play a big role in criminal behavior. So testosterone, which is our aggression hormone, can often lead to, there's some link to elevated levels of testosterone in males leading to more aggression, maybe more tendency to want to fight. So that's important. We know also that with the brain, and when we're looking at neurocriminology, how that brain functions, it is true that there is some research to support that there are certain individuals who are going to be predisposed to violent behavior, violent disorders. So it's based just on that biology, what we're made of. I got ahead of myself. Social psychology focuses on human behavior in the context of how human beings relate to or influence one another. So if you've taken a sociology class, you know about this. But when we're looking at the mind and the body, social psychology is a big piece of criminology. All these ologies, huh? So let's move on and talk about social disorganization theory. This is one that I'm pretty, I find to be really fascinating. I tend to agree with some of the things that they discuss in this theory. Okay, so basically what social disorganization theory is saying is that, and this was Shaw and McKay, and they popularized these sociological explanations for crime with their social disorganization theory. So factors that led to crime in high crime neighborhoods were as follows. High levels of high school dropouts, chronic unemployment, poverty, deteriorating buildings and other infrastructures, concentrations of single-parent families. This was a big piece of social disorganization. There's a great book called The Broken Windows Theory, which talks a little bit about this same stuff. It's really important to understand what role that disorganization has on individuals. Here we go. And this goes more into all of that we just talked about. Sometimes I get behind on my slides. I apologize. All right, strain theory, another one that I love. And this is a social structure theory with this assumption that crime is the result of frustration. So when we feel strained, when individuals feel strained, they feel that crime is a result of this frustration of being pent up and not being able to get what it is that they want in life, seeing all of it around them, but not being able to have that. So this was, really the roots of strain theory comes from Durkheim in sociology and this concept of anonymity. And this is a condition in which individuals feel a disconnect from society due to an absence of social norms. So when you don't have those social norms, it's easy for strain theory to get a hold of you and to be able to move further down in your criminal behaviors. So social conflict theories are theories that view criminal behavior as a result of class conflict. So we're talking about middle class, lower class, upper class, class conflict between those different areas. And so that is all part of there being some differences about communities and what's going on. And when there is conflict, it then in turn can lead to criminal behavior. So next we talk about social process theories. And social process theories consider criminal behavior to be a predictable result of a person's interaction with their environment. So social process, sociology goes well together, and that's where we get some of this information. Learning theory, of course, talks about how delinquents and criminals have to be taught this. We send youth status offenders to prison at an early age, and they're around other criminals. And what do they learn? They learn how to be better. They learn how to be better at what they're doing, not necessarily to not do it. So that is an important piece of learning theory. Learning theory was actually popularized in the 40s. And it really has to do it kind of went on, and Sutherland sociologists took that over and came up with this theory of differential association. So you'll see, I was going to go into that a little more, but when we talk about differential association, we're talking about where individuals are exposed to values of family and peers, such as school friends and coworkers. And if that dominant value that the child was around favored criminal behavior, much more likely that person will mimic that behavior. Oftentimes when I was teaching for the Department of Corrections and their cognitive behavior interventions, I might see somebody who was, participated in auto theft, grand theft auto. And, you would say, well, gosh, what led you to think that was an okay thing to do? Well, that's all they knew. That's what my dad did. That's what they might say. So my family did. That was learning theory, social learning theory, and also encompasses this differential association. So if that dominant value that a person is exposed to favors criminal behavior, then in turn, it's more likely for that person to mimic the behavior. All right, so we're talking about life course theories of crime. So practitioners of life course criminology believe that risk factors that exist in early childhood are the strongest predictors of future criminal behavior. And they've been undervalued. We are going to spend the whole week talking about the ACEs study and some of those things that affect us. No, we are not. We are going to spend a whole week in CJ 106. You will spend a whole week if you take CJ 106 to learn more about life course theories. My apologies. Get these confused when I'm lecturing. So, but life course theory is just that. It's looking at what are the predictors of criminality in life, through life, and what people have been exposed to. So self-control theory is that criminal behavior is linked to just low self-control. So when we focus on childhood behavior, we raise this question as to whether conduct problems that are established at a young age can be changed over time. So Travis Hershey did some research. He had a 1990 publication called The General Theory of Crime, and really gave us a foundation of this criminology, life course criminology, and kind of give us a way to think. But in general, someone who has low self control is impulsive. They're thrill seeking, they're likely to solve problems with violence. And so when we talk about that, we're talking about this process of needing to be able to have self control to make the correct decisions. And if we're not taught to have self control, that can be really challenging. All right, we're going to stop with the theories right now, and I will be back with lecture 2.2.